So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do here with the coordinated campaign and what our overall goal is. Essentially what we do is we're working to turn out every voter that we've ID'd in the past to get them out to vote for the entire Democratic ticket. Our metrics, our methodology is meant to include all likely Democrats and individuals that are going to vote up and down, from governor to justice of the peace. In every single race, they're going to vote for Democrats. Right now, the expected turnout is 100,000 more than it was in '06. We have a 6% gap in the enthusiasm metrics that insinuates basically we have to do a little bit more work this year to get out Democrats. We know that if individuals are contacted to get out and vote, they're 5.3% more likely to get out and cast their ballot for our Democrats. On top of that, if we have locals calling locals, you can add another 4% to that likelihood. So I guess essentially what I'm saying is, in the coming days, we've got to move mountains here to ensure that our state going forward is protected. We've done a great job through hard work and amazing leadership to keep this state moving forward, and we need to continue that for generations to come. So there's a lot on the line. We've got a lot of work to do. The reason that I'm here is to ask you all to help us out. We can't do it without you. So we have these GOTV forms that are going around. You can check different boxes. 3 shifts, just 3 separate occasions between now and Election Day over the next 2 weeks will make the difference between this election being completely in our favor, possibly not. So if you would, please sign those cards. And now I'd like to introduce an individual who, gosh, I've got to write down all his chairman stuff. So he's been a physician here in Hot Springs for 25 years. He's running for state senate. He's vice chairman of the House Committee on Public Health, Welfare, and Labor. He's a member of the House Committee on State Agencies and Governmental Affairs and the Joint Committee on Public Retirement and Social Security Programs. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Representative Gene Shelby.
Well, I really appreciate all the good Democrats being out here. I appreciate the governor taking some time to come to Hot Springs, because it's going to be a tough 2 weeks ahead. And I've been out at the early voting. It started yesterday, and I tell you, the opposition is pumped up. You know, there were times yesterday I was holding the sign. I was the only Democrat there, and against 10 Republicans, and that somebody would come in to vote, give them a thumbs up. They were doing high fives, and they think they've got this election won. But there are more Democrats in this county than there are Republicans, and it is going to be our challenge, is to get the people out to vote, because we've got them there, and we've got the best candidates. Even if you take parties away, if you put our candidates up against their candidates, we're way above them. And so to do the right thing, we need to make sure that our Democrats get elected. I have the honor to introduce a dear colleague of mine, Representative Rick Saunders. I've had the opportunity to serve with him in the House of Representatives for the past 4 years. I served on his committee. He chaired the State Agencies Committee. He led many important bills through the House. The House is really going to deeply miss his leadership in terms of education. And things in terms of the State Agency Committee. I think it was a tough committee. I mean, it was probably the most partisan committee at the legislature, but we were able to really kind of stand up for some of the important things that Democrats always stand up for. So I wish you join with me in welcoming Representative Rick Saunders.
Thank you, Senator. You know, when I got elected and went over for the '05 session, Bill Stovall was the speaker-elect. And he contacted a couple of folks and said, hey, I got some guys interested in really learning about the budget, because that's a pretty steep learning curve over there, little old freshman to go into. So it turned out that those individuals that he had gotten to agree to teach about 7 or 8 of us about the budget was Morrill Harriman and Mike Beebe. And I got to go in to a room with the governor here, and I got to learn from he and Harriman, who, by the way, said he knows a heck of a lot more about the budget than the governor. But
his dream.
Yeah, absolutely. But I learned more, and I realized what a gift Arkansas had with Mike Beebe. And it didn't take me long. I was already on his bandwagon because I'd watched him for years as an educational administrator lobbying him, but it didn't take me long to really get the admiration I needed for Governor Mike Beebe. And guys, if we lose this kind of person in the governor's office, and somebody that cares to know what he knows about state financing and the budgets, we've lost more than we ever want to. And trust me, being a business person is nothing like public government budgeting. Private sector has their own rules. Public sector has its own rules. And nobody knows more about the budget than Mike Beebe. He's been a wonderful governor. He and I have gotten to work together on several things. Mike Beebe, through leadership, got the education committees in the House and the Senate to develop a plan for adequacy. Got us out of Lakeview. Not only got us out of Lakeview, now you're seeing reports, aren't you, Governor, that education and kids are learning, and we are actually meeting adequacy. I was in the business 40 years, and we never met adequacy, and I knew it. Anyway, that's this kind of leadership. I got to work with him on his economic development, one small way. I pestered him to get a film incentive. He committed state revenues to incentivize a bill that I got to sponsor to bring movie makers, film producers, and so forth into the state in competition, and they're in our state right now, and it'll be a wonderful industry before it's over with. And so you talk about somebody, it's not just 25,000 more jobs, it's a whole gamut that Mike Beebe knows. It's my privilege, and thanks for letting me